Okay, so we are going to talk about meditation today, and we're going to discuss why it's important to meditate and how we do it. And this is going to be very important for our 30-day challenge because it's going to be an instrumental part of each day in order for us to see the benefits and to go deeper into an allowance state. Meditation is a very, very important part of that. It's a critical element of our day-to-day being. And when we think about meditation, we normally think about some Indian or mystic guru with his, standing on one foot or balanced, eyes closed, fingers pinching. We think of that. But meditation is very simple. It's not complicated or mysterious, in my opinion. And I look at it as just the practice of training your attention and focusing on your breath so that you can become more aware of your godliness, more aware of your inner being, your spirituality. And it's just like working out physically. You build muscle when you work out, but with meditation, you're building your attention, you're building your spiritual vessel. And I believe it's best to do it at least once a day, 3 times if you can, or if you choose to. And what I've noticed is when I'm not meditating, that's when I see the results, when I notice there's a gap. It's hard to notice the results of meditation. People say, well, I meditate, I feel this. For me, I don't necessarily see the results of meditation when I'm doing it. I notice the results when I'm not meditating. I notice that I'm more anxious. My day is kind of off a little bit. It's hard to explain, but it's one of those things that you do it just like brushing your teeth. I keep using brushing your teeth as an example, but I don't notice the results of brushing my teeth until I don't brush it. And I notice I have bad breath or I have stains or, what have you. So brushing your teeth is analogous to meditation. Now, nobody really ever explained to me. I mean, I've heard it explained why we meditate and how we meditate. So if you don't know or don't understand, I'm hoping that this message hits you and you have a deeper understanding of why we meditate. So every single day, every single moment, right now, your mind is racing with thoughts. You're thinking, what is he going to say? I hope this helps. Did I put that food? Did I eat? I'm a little hungry. I'm thirsty. As you drive, your mind is constantly telling you stuff that you don't even need to know. They say that at any given moment, we are bombarded with at least 10,000 thoughts per minute. It could be more. I'm sure that it's in the hundreds of thousands. So think about that. Every second, you've got at least, let's just be conservative and say 50 thoughts every second. If you're strong enough and you wrote down everything that you're thinking right now, you notice that most of it is useless. This table is brown, the table in front of me. I wonder what this is. I wonder what this person is doing. I wonder how this person is doing. I wonder, why did she say this? How long is this going to take? So your mind is constantly flowing. And that's not how you were as a baby. That's not how you were as a soul. And even Jesus talks about it when he talks about Martha. Only one thing is necessary. And so meditation allows us to increase our self-awareness so that we can stay centered. And what does that mean by staying centered? It means being able to focus. It means having a greater sense of peace, a greater sense of confidence, because our mind is now stable. And it's hard, maybe impossible. I don't know. For me, I've never been able to quiet the mind. I mean, to have no thoughts. But I have been able to quiet certain aspects, certain things that the mind is saying. And that's why we meditate. That's one of the reasons why we meditate. I've heard people say that it improves their mental clarity by training their brain, and I agree with that. I think when you can tell your mind to keep quiet and focus on one thing, once you get out of that meditation, you can do the same thing. And there's a lot of science. You can go do the research on the scientific benefits of meditation, but there's a lot of research that shows that it can reduce your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormones. It can help with sleep and immune function, and it can even reprogram your brain over time. Okay, but I think the deepest benefit is really something that you may not even notice. It happens really, really quietly, and it's just how you respond to life daily. You're gonna notice you get less anxious, less dramatic. And yes, in the beginning, it's going to feel awkward. You won't see results. Don't look for the results. I beg of you. In the first 30 days, do not look for the results. Just do it. Just do it consistently. And just do it. That's all I can say. So why do we tend to focus on breath? If you've never heard of meditation and you are a Christian or someone who reads the Bible, I would like to share with you my perspective on the importance of breath and why we tend to focus on breath. And it comes from Genesis. The first thing we see in Genesis is that before God created anything, there was the breath. The Hebrew word is rock. And that can mean the breath, it can mean spirit, it can mean life force. The funny thing about not funny, but the interesting thing about Hebrew words are that one Hebrew word can have the meaning of what we break up in English as two different things. And so that word, the Spirit of God, this is Genesis 1, verse 2. The Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. That Spirit of God is the same word that's used as breath, that's used as wind. And so if we think of the Spirit, and then if you go down to Adam, Genesis 2, verse 7, God breathes into Adam. So in both cases, life starts when God's breath or God's Spirit enters the scene. So we look at that as an exchange. And I think if you look at Genesis 1, it's almost like the first breath before creation. I mean, not literally like how we breathe, but God's life-giving presence moves through the chaos. Because remember, there was chaos of the seas. But once God's breath came into play, it established order. And so think about it like this. Chaos, the Spirit moves, then there's creation. Now think about that in your life. There's chaos, allow the Spirit to move, then you can have order. And that's why whenever we feel things getting out of line, the answer is not more effort. It's allowing the Spirit of God, the breath, the presence of God to move through that chaos. So notice in the same book of Genesis, it says, let there be light. But before God says that, there was already movement. The Spirit is already hovering. So the presence comes before. The Spirit of God comes before the manifestation. And we are constantly looking for the light. But the first thing to look for is the movement of the Spirit, which is the meditation. Well, I interpret it as meditation. And it's the quietness, the quiet sense of something being alive, even when nothing visible has happened. So when we inhale, it's almost as if we're receiving life from God. Okay? So what I like to do in my meditation, I take a deep breath in. Okay, I go deep, and I go deep through the nostrils. And the reason I go through the nostrils is because breathing in that way, it doesn't dry your mouth out. And it's almost like the natural way to breathe in. And so I go deep, I pull that spirit, that breath in, and I imagine it flowing from my nostrils to every cell and touching every part of my body. I hold it, okay? That's the stillness, that's the potential. And then when I exhale, I let it go through my mouth. I breathe out and I let it go slowly. And as I'm breathing out, I'm letting every stress, everything out. All the potential, it's all going out. And this happens very slowly. And while I'm doing this, sometimes I like to count. It makes it, for me, it's easier when I count because now my mind is focused on something. And sometimes I will imagine the number that I'm counting. I can either count down or count up. When I started, I would count down. Now I count up. And usually I'll count to like 60. So I'll walk you through it. So the first breath will go in through the nostrils. Still breathing, still breathing. You all breathe all the way in. And then let it out slowly. And that's one. Let it out, let it out, let it out. And then go deep, pull it in. Deep breath, fill up that diaphragm, fill up the lungs, fill up the body. And then let it go out slowly. So, biologically, okay, because everything ties into one another, spiritually, physically, biologically, scientifically. Biologically, we know that every breath brings oxygen in. We know that. Then it goes to the cells of our body. And when we breathe out, it releases carbon dioxide and some other things. So this is a circle of life that we're participating in. So, and it also helps with our, nervous system, calms our mind. But as we do this, all we're saying is I'm recognizing the spirit being in me and I'm letting my body take a break. I'm acknowledging the presence of God. And this breath is actually a gift. It's a gift. So every time we breathe in, it's like receiving life, receiving energy, receiving grace. We didn't deserve it. And breathing out is giving back. So that's life. Life is constantly about receiving and giving. And when we look at it also in another spiritual aspect, when God has given you something, you have to release it. When God blesses you, your job is to release it. And we see this throughout the Bible. When God blessed Abraham, God said, be a blessing to many nations. So let's go to the how. We'll go back to the how. When we do this, you can put a timer in the beginning. You can time yourself for 5 minutes. It's going to be challenging if you've never done it before because you're used to your mind talking and you responding. You're used to the chatter and you monitoring it. So our goal in meditation is not to eliminate every single thought and to quote unquote not think about anything. It's just to focus. Those thoughts are going to come. But our goal is to focus on one, maybe two things at a time. Eventually, we'll be able to quiet the mind and focus on God only. But what happens when you start thinking about bills, you start thinking about your day, about what this person said? All you do is to bring the mind back. I do it aggressively. You can do it calmly. You can say, I'm talking to God or I'm focused on God right now. Keep quiet. You can do it aggressively. Shut up. We're meditating. But whatever you do, just nudge it back. Okay? The morning is a great time to meditate. But the best time to meditate is whenever you choose to. I like to meditate in the morning, usually after I've done my workout. I'll meditate before I start my day with humans. I think it's essential, whatever time you do it, prior to you interacting or engaging with people. And it's good to do it in a quiet, comfortable place. Some people like to sit. I find it best to sit. I think that's most effective for me. You can find what position works for you. Some positions are more optimal than others. I don't think it's effective to lay down because you may drift off, especially if you're in a sleep state. But yes, inhaling and exhaling is the key thing. And as you count, remember, you can picture the number like seeing a large one floating in front of you. And it gives your mind something to focus on. Another technique that I rarely do it, but it's very effective, is the humming technique. And when you hum, it's very hard for you to think of anything else because you've almost forced the mind to be quiet. And that's why you see a lot of monks hum. It's hard to sustain, but it's very effective. When you hum, it quiets the mind completely, and it's hard. It's not completely, but it's hard to focus on anything else. And so this is it. This is it. You need to learn how to handle the mind. Some questions that people might ask is, what if I feel bored? And that's normal at first. Just sit with it. Boredom is a signal that your mind is resisting the stillness. So just sit with that. I think you should always close your eyes. That way you're not distracted. And again, just stay consistent. And lastly, before we go, I want to encourage you all. It's not about emptying your mind completely. It's just about returning again and again and again to the present moment with patience. And over time, you're going to get centered. Over time, you're going to learn to master your attention. And I think this is the most valuable skill you can have in a world that is constantly distracted and trying to steal your focus. So start today. You can start right now. Let's start with 10 deep, slow breaths using what we just described. And you got this. The more consistent you practice, the more consistently you practice, the more natural it's going to be for you. And remember, the breath is always with you, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not. Every single moment you're breathing in, you're breathing out. So the next video, we'll go through a meditation together. And hopefully this video helps you. Take care.